So these are some interesting Reddit stories. I hope you enjoy, and there are ads because I don't have YouTube Premium, but I hope you enjoy.
Are the ones that matter to Echo Park. My entitled parents make excuses and allow my little brother to constantly steal from me all the time. And when I confronted them about this, they always made excuses for his behavior and ended up yelling at me for everything that my brother was doing. Eventually, my aunt got involved and helped me out in this situation and put her foot down and said enough is enough. Here's what happened. Back when I was still a kid, it was very hard for anything to be exclusively mine. And as my brother got older, he craved money for things above all else. He and I both got allowances.
Sorry, my TV's glitching.
In fact, we got equal allowances, so that was sort of fair. I say sorta because he didn't have to do chores for his, while I did. But that's in the past now because my brother is now having to do all those chores for nothing. My brother always wanted more money though, whether he spent it or not. He loved having new things. But sometimes he just saved the money instead, which is odd because you'd think him the kind of kid who'd splurge his saving on the first thing he wants. My brother and I both got allowances of about $25 a month, and I was pretty thankful for
That's
it.
pretty
I
good.
usually saved most of my money though, but my brother always wanted more. One day as a teenager, I came home to find my room had been ransacked, and the only thing gone was my money.
Oh,
I hid
no.
it to try and keep it from my brother because, well, the obvious reason being that my brother would take it. I thought I had hidden it well, but he found it anyways. My mom was home when he did it too, and she acted like she didn't even notice. But there's no way she could not have heard him tearing my room up. In fact, I called her out on that during the intervention, and she just cried and made excuses about my brother being special. That is, until my other family members chimed in and told her to fess up. My room was on the first floor right near the living room. My door was completely in view of the couch. And when I pointed this out back then, my mom just made the excuse again that he's special and he's not like you. It was all just a big excuse for my brother. I said I wanted the money back, and my mom just kept making more excuses. My dad was also no help either, because when he got home, he was also making excuses. But thankfully, eventually, I did get that money back because I refused to let it go. I heard my brother screaming as they took the money out of his piggy bank and gave it back to me, and they had the most disappointed looks on their faces, like I had just robbed my brother, even though he robbed me. And they couldn't even tell me off because I wasn't in the wrong, and they knew it. I don't imagine many kids getting in the kind of situations I've been in, where they are more right about something than their parents are very often. And just when I thought things would get better, a few months later, the whole situation repeated. My brother ransacked my room again and stole the money I had hidden again. That time, my parents didn't want to do anything about it and basically said that they couldn't bear to see my brother so disappointed from taking his money. I felt like I was losing my mind. I kindly reminded them that stolen money wasn't his money, and it was really crappy that they are just sitting back and letting that happen. And after I said that, my dad yelled at me and told me to go to my room. So the next day, I rode my bike to my aunt's house and told her everything. And she came back home with me and asked my parents if they really let my brother steal from me and did nothing about it. My mom just started whining that my brother has special needs and she didn't want to make him cry again. And my dad backed her up. My aunt just gave them both a narrow-eyed look and reminded them that they have two sons. And my feelings matter too. And what they are doing was very wrong. And it meant that my brother would never respect boundaries and would think he can always get away with stealing when he gets older. My aunt asked me openly how much my brother took. I stated the number, which at the time was everything I had, save for a few bucks in my wallet. My aunt gave my parents an expectant glare. My parents tried making a few more excuses, but my aunt had a counter for each one of them. Finally, my parents went into my brother's room, and a moment later, my brother was screaming at the top of his lungs. My parents then came back with all of the money my brother had taken, and practically threw it at me for making my brother cry. My aunt then told them off for acting that way when I've done nothing wrong. They then begrudgingly picked up all of my money that they had thrown at me and gave me a pretty forced apology. My aunt said that she'd be severely disappointed in them if they let this situation repeat. And before she left, my aunt offered for me to hide my money at her house in a lockbox that she had. I took her up on that and started keeping my savings over there. My brother ended up ransacking my room 2 more times looking for money, but I was keeping every cent I had in my aunt's house. My parents actually asked me where I had hidden it, and I refused to tell them. I simply could not believe they were doing this. Then I asked why they wanted to know so badly anyway, and my dad instantly got defensive about it. My mom calmed him down, and they didn't ask again. Since he couldn't find my money in my room, my brother figured I must have hidden it somewhere else. So he started tearing the house apart, one room at a time. And who did they force to clean up that mess? Why, yours truly, of course. My parents then started to blame me for the entire situation. But when I asked how it was my fault for not letting my brother steal from me, their only counter was that my brother had special needs. I swear, they used that line with me 1,000 times over. That was something else I heavily berated my parents for in the family intervention. The final straw came when my brother ransacked my parents' bedroom. My parents had a small suitcase safe that they kept some cash in, and my brother locked himself in their room, took the entire safe, and started bashing it around on stuff to try and get it open, all because he couldn't find the keys. By the time my parents were able to get the door open by breaking it open, my brother had destroyed the room, and he never got that safe open. He just sat on the floor clutching it and crying about the money inside. My dad was so angry that he turned red, and then to my utter surprise, he actually started yelling at my brother and grounded him, which really was a very rare sight for me to see back then. Then my parents forced my brother to help clean up the mess. After that, my brother never ransacked mine or my parents' rooms ever again looking for money, but he would still go rooting around every time he got an idea where my savings might be. So I started acting like I was giving hints by repeatedly going into certain places, all while he was watching. He ransacked the backyard shed, dug a bunch of holes in the yard and under the back porch, and even ransacked the attic. My parents...
Florida Grad
This
has
is a
more
spicy
styles
video.
for pros.
And it's
Go on for a little bit longer.
And I mean,
We got to skip
bad video or ad.
My parents really hit their breaking point with the attic and grounded my brother again.
Ooh.
My parents did eventually figure out I was keeping my money at my aunt's house, and they didn't argue with my reasoning for doing it, but either my brother overheard or one of them spilled the beans to him. Because the next time we visited my aunt, my brother tried to hunt for the money, but my aunt yelled at him to stop, and my brother would just sit on the floor and cry. This happened a few more times, and my aunt bluntly stated that she would press charges for any damages if my brother ransacked anything, and also kept a digital camera on hand to record anything if need be. My parents heavily scolded my brother to stop looking for my money. It wasn't his, and he can't have it, which only brought on more screaming and crying that he wants it like a 3-year-old. Eventually, my brother said he didn't want to go to my aunt's house anymore, so my parents visited less. My aunt visited us a lot more than we visited her anyways. I was pretty much able to keep my money away from my brother till after I moved out, and he has never managed to steal cash from me ever again. What a terrible situation to be stuck in. If your brother really is special needs, then your parents need to absolutely help him understand that stealing is not okay. Because allowing this type of behavior to develop at an early age is only going to damage him in the future. It is absolutely no excuse for your parents to use the excuse that your brother's special needs just to excuse his stealing. I mean, after the first 2 times, you would think that they would actually step up to the plate and be good parents, but they just brushed it off and said, oh no, it's your fault. Which, by the way, how on earth would it be your fault? You're just trying to save your money, but your parents are enabling your brother to just steal from them. And ironically enough, it's only when your brother tried to ransack your parents' room to break open that safe that they actually put their foot down and said no more. They clearly needed a taste of their own medicine to get things going, which honestly is not what it should have taken. So good for you for being able to save your money from your brother and for getting out of that house. That must have been miserable to deal with, and I'm sure it's a relief to no longer have to keep your money at your aunt's house any longer. My ex is blaming me for everything, even though
This is story 2 now. Sorry about that. Wrong timing, but this is story 2. Hope you enjoyed that first story. Please like and subscribe. Video will take a little while because the video I'm watching right now that I'm filming technically is 21 minutes, but we've only watched 8 minutes of it, and this is 10 minutes right now. So yeah.
she was overly controlling the entirety of our relationship, and I'm honestly not sure what to do. So my ex and I got in a little argument the other day. It really wasn't
Break up.
anything serious, but we both kind of took it too far, and it got out of hand.
Break
Pretty much much what happened was the night before the argument, I was playing Xbox with my brother. I decided
that's
to have
cool.
a couple of beers while we were playing,
Oh, it's not
because
bad.
why not? I didn't feel the need to tell her this, because it was just at home, and it wasn't like I was trying to get drunk or going out or anything. Either
Not
way,
bad.
she was asleep and lives across the country from me,
Oh,
and we
dang.
already said goodnight. She ends up waking up in the middle of the night and texts me that her dog woke her up and she couldn't fall back asleep. We were
Okay.
texting like normal, and I told her I was just playing Xbox with my brother and having a couple of beers. She replies with, "What? You didn't tell me you were drinking." I told her it was casual and we were just playing video games and that I had only had 3 beers over the span of 3 hours or so. She
Not bad.
replies with, "That's a lot of drinking.
Wow.
Why didn't you tell me?" And I
You're
said,
proud.
"My bad. I didn't really think to text you about it. I'm just chilling at
Technically.
home. If I was going out or actually getting drunk, it would be a different story." Anyway, it kind of hurt me and I felt low-key attacked, as well as interrogated over nothing, but I just kind of ignored it. The next morning, I brought it up and said, "I don't really like how you came at me last night. I was just enjoying a few drinks with my brother. I don't know why you had to come at me and ask why I didn't say anything and tell me
I
that
don't
I
like
drank a
those
lot
siblings.
when
I
I
don't
really
got one.
didn't." She replied with a facepalm
Enjoy
emoji.
your
Things
siblings.
kind of escalated from there, and I started getting sarcastic after
I
she
mean,
said, "Don't give me that.
It's kind
You're
of boring
starting
to
to
hear,
fight
but
for
yeah.
no reason." She was mad at me for being sarcastic and thought I was immature. To be honest, I guess I overreacted and took it too far, but either way, I was fed up with her being controlling. There have been multiple times in our relationship where she expects me to drop everything for her, inform her about every little thing, and it all just takes away from my own free time. But I still don't think her interrogating me over 3 beers while she is asleep across the country is
I
okay
gotta go.
behavior.
Bye, guys. Like and subscribe.